Hello, how's it going? Welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is Monday the 22nd of December 2014 and I'm your host, Ant-Man. I've got an article right here in front of me from the timesofisrael.com and you could put, you could go if you want by clicking on this annotation, I guess, if that's what it's called. But go ahead, and if you want to go to that page and see the article I'm looking at, go ahead. Ancient clay seals may shed new light on King David. This is by Janet McConaughey. This was about 2 days ago. So let's get into this. Yeah, it's pretty crazy looking. A Mississippi State University team found this bulla, or ancient clay seal, on a dig site in northern Israel last summer. It offers evidence of government activity in the 10th century BC, a time when many scholars said a kingdom could not exist in the region. Wow. So okay, there's a photo here. I'm just probably gonna make this the picture, the thumbnail. Anyways, AP impressions from ancient clay seals found at a small site in Israel east of Gaza are signs of government in an area thought to be entirely rural during the 10th century BC, said Mississippi State University archaeologist James W. Hardin. This could indicate that biblical accounts of David and his son Solomon described real kings rather than the backwater chieftains considered more likely by some archaeologists, said Hardin, an associate professor in the Department of Anthropology and Middle Eastern Cultures. The 6 fragments of clay once used to seal documents or expensive goods are described in a brief article in the December issue of Near East Archaeology. They're little bitty mud balls, but they're really important because of what they suggest about what's going on, Hardin, the lead author, said in a telephone interview from the university in Starkville. Jim Hardin, an associate professor in the Mississippi State University Department of Anthropology and Middle Eastern Cultures, co-directed a team in Israel that found archaeological evidence from the time of Kings David and Solomon. So that's pretty amazing. After tying the scroll or other item, ancient officials would wrap part of the string with clay and stamp it with an official seal to show that it had not been opened. The artifacts are important, said Israel Finkelstein, an archaeology professor at Tel Aviv University. They probably hint at a city-state other than that of Gath on the southern coastal plain during the period, he wrote in an email to the Associated Press. Gath was a major Philistine city-state when it was destroyed in the 9th century, according to archaeologists. According to the Bible, it was the hometown of Goliath, the giant whom young David laid flat with stone and sling. But Finkelstein, co-author of a book arguing that 10th century Jerusalem was a small highland village that controlled a sparsely settled hinterland, rather than the great kingdom the Bible describes David and his son Solomon as ruling, was convinced by Hardin's broader conclusion. It's too far from Jerusalem, about 100 kilometers, 70 miles, to make connections, he said. And radiocarbon dating for the part of the Iron Age described could be anywhere from mid-10th century to 800 BC. Carbon dating is very flawed, though. You cannot base facts off carbon dating. You cannot get an absolute. There are a lot of ways to test this. I'm not just saying stuff that contradicts what people teach in universities, maybe, but there's certain things with carbon dating that you cannot know, and you have to have some type of context as to what frame of reference in time you're in. I believe what I believe changes everything from what most people are taught. You know what I mean? Because I believe a creation, and that suggests to me a young earth, and then also I believe that the flood happened, and that there are many things that prove it too, and that changes your perspective on everything, because radiocarbon dating comes with a lot of assumptions about evolution, and they might use this type of tactic to fool people, but there are ways to know that that's more based on assumption than anything else, not facts. So there is no reason to start rewriting history books that come from modern critical research, wrote Finkelstein, who wrote David and Solomon in Search of the Bible's Sacred Kings and the Roots of the Western Tradition, with journalist and archaeology historian Neil Asher Silberman. Carbon dating that period is problematic, Hardin said, so pot fragments from the layers where the bullae were found are being analyzed at the University of Minnesota's Center for Rock Magnetism to see if magnetic analysis can date them more precisely. They were found at Khirbet Sumaili, or Khirbet Sumaili. That's how you pronounce it. A little site in middle of nowhere outside of Philistia and outside Judah. Hardin said in modern times it's about 22 kilometers, 14 miles east of Gaza. Hardin said he first went there 3 years ago expecting to find a tiny farming village that might indicate what kind of people lived along a border where fortresses from the 9th and 8th centuries BC would have been excavated. A village would have been made up of houses with 2 or 3 parallel, narrow rooms, each about 8 to 15 feet long, with a broad room across the back. Artifacts might include serving dishes and cooking in storage pots, he said. He was stunned when students turned up not only 6 broken bullae, but a large, beautifully made chalice, a softball-sized figure of an animal's head, scarabs, and several small figurines, possibly of Egyptian gods. 2 of those figurines are of turquoise-glazed faience, a sand or quartz-based ceramic made before clay was glazed and fired. The brief journal article describes only the bullae, which Hardin said survived because the building burned, accidentally firing the clay. My colleague Jake Blakely worked at Hellas Hesse, a nearby Iron Age site during the 1970s and 80s. In our 2.5 seasons, we've found more Egyptian material than they found at El Hesse in probably 10 or 12 6-week seasons, digging with anywhere from 50 to 100 people, Hardin said. The scarabs and figurines likely are from the 11th or 10th century BC, he said. He said he and Blakely, an adjunct professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison's Center for Jewish Studies, had brought 45 to 50 students this year for what was planned as an extensive 5-week dig, but had to cut it short. We got the students out a week or 2 before the ground war started in Gaza, Hardin said. He said the building or complex unearthed so far includes at least 5 or 6 squarish rooms with walls built on a foundation of river stones. Wow, the outer walls have yet to be uncovered. That's pretty amazing. We haven't exposed the majority of it yet, Hardin said. Thinking that at least one bulla might show bits of ancient letters, Hardin brought in Christopher Rolston of George Washington University. He looked at them and said, "You guys don't have letters, but you're missing the point. These are high-end elite-type stamps that probably were used to seal written documents," Hardin said. He said the fragments now are being analyzed to see if they show any microscopic marks from papyrus. Wow. So it's undebatable for any. It's. I mean, I believe Bible. My motto is God said it. That settles it. You know what I mean for me. But Israel is a crazy place just to think about how it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's in the middle of the Middle East, like where everyone, it's surrounded by its enemies, right? It's a little place surrounded by a lot of enemies, and it's there. It's mentioned in the Bible. It's a really amazing place. That place belongs to the Jews, man. The Jews, and to, I mean, it's crazy because there's so much there that we could talk about. There's many things that were prophesied about Israel, but that's pretty amazing. I mean, not that we need proof, but when we do dig places, and this is the kind of stuff that you might find sometimes, and it's pretty amazing. Maybe that's King David's seal, and that would be pretty interesting. But anyways, interesting article. Hope you liked it. God bless. Have a nice day.